Okay. Hi, this is Child Development 66, and this is week 4. And so today we are looking at developmentally appropriate practice and the curriculum planning process. And so I just I just published this on Canvas, so you can follow along. Make this smaller. There. Okay. So tonight we're going to talk about what play is, the categories of play, and all the different kinds of play. And then we're going to talk about the curriculum planning process. And this is the recording from last year, if you don't want to wait for this year's. And these are the assignments. There's just one. You have to do that reflective response assignment. It's due on the 19th. And then here's the schedule in calendar form. So there's a discussion this week. And then next week, I have to fix this, the dates are wrong. Next week, this assignment's due. So let me check and make sure about that. Okay. So you've just got your reflective assignment that's due on the 19th. We're not doing a quiz. So you just have one assignment for the next 2 weeks. And you're reading just one chapter. So let me go back to the overview. So it may seem like there's not very much to do this week, and if you feel like there's not that much to do, you can work ahead. So I'll fix this calendar that's wrong. But next week, and these are the videos, if you want to pick a video. So there's lots of choices there, and these are your handouts. So I'm going to go to the modules and I'm going to show you. So I published next week's information, so that in case you guys wanted to work ahead, since there's not that much to do this week. And so you can read chapter 5, 6, and 7. That's the next batch of chapters, is 5, 6, and 7. And then you can get ready for starting your observation for your learning story, which is in the next couple of weeks. So anyway, it's there for you in case that's what you want to do. But we are up here in week 4 and 5, right? Yes, we're in week 4 and 5. Talking about play. So again, you just have one assignment this week. It's actually due next week. Okay, so most of this is in the book. And so if you want details, they're in the book. But these are the important parts that I pull out. And then this thing with the star means, hey, it's one of those hey, did you know spots. I don't know if you guys have seen those yet. So, and there's videos to go with everything. All of this is in the book. Got a video about theorists. And then these are all the different kinds of play straight out of the book with videos to go with it. And so here's the Hey Did You Know, and it's talking about the paint roller. I think I told you that story, but it's waiting for you there. And all of this is in the book. More about developmentally appropriate practice and developmentally appropriate curriculum, how to extend ideas. So I think the part that's the hardest for this section, this part, violent play is hard for new teachers to work with, and the curriculum planning process. This is not in the book. This is explained a little bit in the framework books, pages 19 to 24. And so let me see if I can make this bigger. So this is what we're doing. This is what we're learning how to do. The curriculum planning process. So we're looking for a child that we want to observe, or we're picking a video that we're going to use, and we're going to watch what we see, and we're going to write down what we see. So that's the observe and document part. And then we're going to go look at all the research and think about what would be the next thing to plan for that child, and that's the planning part. And then this class doesn't do it, but then the next step is implementation. So after you make a plan, you implement it. And then you do the same thing. You observe what you implemented, and you document it, and then you make a new plan. And so that's the curriculum planning process. Okay, any questions about that? No? Okay.
Is this the assignment, the whole assignment, do we have to send to you or just practice?
Well, I just showed you where it is. Let me go back. The next assignment that's due is due on the 19th. That's the next assignment. It's right here. Here's the directions. So you're going to be reflecting on what you learned. So you can't do this assignment until you do the reading. Did you get your book? This one requires reading the book.
But I'm still waiting for my book. I applied for the register to the library. How can I do?
Well, you have a couple of weeks, right? And I told you.
Yeah, they said I have to wait for 1 week. I applied, I think, last week and Thursday, and then they said you have to wait a week if we're going to give you a schedule to pick up your books.
You see, it's due February 19th. February 19th. So today's the 8th. It's due 10 days from now. That's more than a week away, right? And you could always Google and find it for free on the internet. So there it is. Be sure you're reading the rubric down here, because this tells you what you need. See, 3 sentences. Each question you need to write at least 3 sentences. Okay? Any questions about the assignment? That's due in more than a week, so we'll talk about it again next week.
Okay, what about the quiz? Do we have time for the quiz?
There's no quiz right now. I'm not sure I'm going to have a quiz.
I check right now. It's when you make it down and then up, the quiz is will be in February also 19.
Well, like I just said, I'm not sure I'm going to do a quiz this time. It's there, but it's empty. There's nothing in there. So,
okay.
See, I didn't publish it. Oh, you guys can't see that. Here, let me.
I have the ATM. If you like my ATM.
Your ADM? What's that?
I mean, This is the quiz. It's still empty. Can we give you a question? It's better you give us the questions to the students.
Well, my quizzes are not hard. You can take as long as you want to take them, and you can take the quiz as many times as you want.
Like options, I mean choose or writing.
No, it's choose. It's a computer. You're taking it with the computer. That's how you can take it over and over, and it doesn't matter because you're doing it with the computer. Okay, any other questions?
Thank you so much.
No more questions? So where was I? I'm here. We were working through what is play and the curriculum planning process. Okay. And so the little things about this that you can't really tell, maybe you can. I didn't really explain these. So these are taken from when I was a coach in child care centers. These are real San Francisco children. And this one is from Chinatown. And this one I wanted to talk about. So this she's 4, and she is playing with the magnetiles there. And this is by the way, this is a great toy for mixed age groups because those are certified for 18 months and up. And so that's a toddler, right? That's somebody under 2 years old, so they're not going to choke on anything. And just make sure you get a real brand and not an off-brand, because off-brand they could choke on it if it falls apart. But anyway, my point is a lot of teachers think they have to put a tray out for each child and make the children play on the tray. Now I want you to look at her, what she's doing. If she had a tray, she wouldn't make such a big building, because that is way bigger than one tray. So this is an example of why it's so important to observe children as they play, so that you can plan curriculum to support the way that they play. And so she wouldn't have such a fancy building if she had to keep it on a tray. And another thing I did in that classroom after I watched is they had this carpet, this rug by the block area, and I took it away because it was keeping them from building fancier block towers, because they kept trying to keep it on the rug. So once I took the rug away, they made these big fancy structures with the blocks because the rug wasn't there anymore. So keep that in mind. And I've got this one here to remind you all. The outside should be mirroring the inside. And so you should have a play kitchen outside. You should have a book area outside. You should have a dress-up area outside. Everything that's inside should be outside as well. And again, this is all in the book. So if you know about child development, most children up to about 2 or 3 are going to play alone. And that's with this onlooker and solitary. And then 2 and 3, they have this parallel play. They'll stand next to somebody, but they won't talk to them. And they'll play with the same toys, but not with them. They'll just play next to them. And that's what parallel play is. And then as they get bigger, then they start talking to each other. And then the cooperative is when they actually work together. So again, these videos talk about that. And I talked already in previous weeks about constructivists versus behaviorists. And so all of that is in the book in great detail. And what do you guys need to know? I'm really trying to get up to next week, because that's when things start slowing down and people need more time. This part you don't really need more time for, because like I said, it's all in the book. This is chapter 2 in the book. So this is no problem. This one is good. It shows a teacher helping children solve a problem and make a plan. And all of that is higher level thinking. That's conceptual thought. It's very good for children, young children. And then here we're talking about what supports play. And the more open-ended toys that you can make available to children, the better. A lot of times they call that loose parts. And later, I think it's in the next page, I have the pictures of the loose parts books. And loose parts are just like random things that children can use to fill up containers or bags, or they use them to count. They do all sorts of things with loose parts. They'll put them in cars and roll them around in the block buildings they make. Lots of things. Sometimes it's pine cones or seashells, or I see thread spools, clothespins, just lots of things that they can move around. Big, huge washers. They like to use those too. Okay, where are we here? So I've got an example of a learning story here, an observation. And so these are the questions you want to, so when you're observing a child, you want to think about what is the story that you want to tell from your observation. Are you going to focus on their developmental journey from like crawling to walking, or maybe babbling to talking, or maybe you want to focus on how they learn to get along with people? There's lots of things. And so and this is, I like putting this in here because there's like 100 blocks there, right? This is Anji. This is in China. This is Anji play. And there's, like I said, there's 100 blocks there. And this is a special needs child. And in the Anji program, everybody starts at 3 years old. And there's no special lower ratios or anything, but they do have inclusive environments. And so that's what that is. And a thing about Anji play is that, I think we're going to get to it. Let me get up to that. So when you write your observation, you're going to be it's like you're telling a story of what you saw the child do. Okay? And so you're going to say, if we were doing it for this picture, we would say, I saw you pick up the blocks and put one on top of the other. Then you sat down on the wooden plank. You see how I'm talking about something that happened in the past, and I'm using you sentences? That's what your observations should sound like. It should sound like a lot of yous. You did this, and then you said this. Okay? And so that's what this is describing here. All this. We're describing past tense. You want to quote what the child says. Very important. And so the great thing about a learning story is it has all the voices, all the stakeholder voices, right? So you're telling the story as the teacher. You're going to imagine that you are the adult in the videos, if you choose a video. And so you're going to imagine that you're the teacher. And so it's got the teacher's viewpoint. It's got the child's viewpoint, because you're describing what they're doing and you're quoting what they say. And then it's got the family's viewpoint, because at the end of this, there's a place for the parents to respond to what they read in the story. And so this is a great tool for equity inclusion. Any questions about that? No? Okay. So this is your assignment. Again, this is based a lot on the book. You have to do the reading and then answer the questions. And so I'm going to keep it moving here. Remember at least 3 sentences. And we're going to skip the quiz. Okay. Oh, that doesn't have it in there. So, okay, so I think I told you guys about this last time. These videos, they're roundtable talks, and they're talking about the book Don't Look Away. And so it's a really good book written by scholars in the early childhood field. And they're talking about how to be anti-racist teachers. And so they have some really good suggestions in there. And so this particular one is about closing the gap. You know how they're always talking about achievement gaps, opportunity gaps. And so that's what that talk is about. And this man here, and he's a famous scholar, he studies black boys and how they learn. Okay, again, these are links to the videos, and you can decide which one you want. I found some more. I found one in Spanish, and so I'm going to add it to the list. Oh, this is just quick links. Okay, next. So now I'm moving into next week to get you guys started because this one takes longer. All right. So if you want to just watch the video, it's here. And so we're learning about all of these frameworks next week. Montessori, Bank Street, Waldorf, Reggio Emilia, High Scope, Creative Curriculum, Angie Play, and Learning Stories. That's all next week. So what's not in the book is Angie Play. That's the only one that's not in the book. The rest are there. And so the whole point of all this is you learn about all these different frameworks, and then when you're going to go work in a center, you know what kind of framework works for your personality, and then you know which schools to apply to so that you don't end up taking a job at the wrong kind of center, so that you won't be miserable. I have this one student that she, after 2 classes with me, she quit her job and got a job at a different center because she didn't agree with the philosophy of that center. So it's really important to know what kind of philosophy is yours so that you can work at that center with a matching philosophy. Any questions about that? No? Okay, I'm going to keep it moving here. And we're going to go to the part where it explains everything. Okay, definitions, pedagogy and andragogy. So pedagogy is the study and teaching of children, and andragogy is the study and teaching of adults. And aesthetic is art, beauty, and creativity. And didactic, that's a new word, didactic. It's how you, it's the behaviorism part of learning, right? Didactic is when you're dictating something. That's the same root word, right? Didactic. It's where you show them how to do something and then they copy you. And so an example would be in Montessori. And so in Montessori, they show the children how to polish the mirror, and then the children polish the mirror. And they show them how to wipe the table, and then the children wipe the table. Okay, here are the conditions that support play. All of this is in the book. Okay, you want children who are active and engaged in all domains. So what that means is you can't, if you want high quality curriculum, you're not going to make them sit down and do writing because that's not all the domains of learning. That's just one, right? And so when you're thinking about the curriculum that you're designing, you want to offer all domains to children to choose from. And the more choices, the better. Okay, next. Comprehensive, same thing. All of this is in the book. Integrated is good because we know that learning is integrated. Okay, these are all the different approaches, and I put the pages on there. And so I'm gonna so each one there's a video, and so if you're a visual learner, there's a video for you. And here we'll go like that. That's better. Okay. And Montessori has a certification program. They have a special institute where you go and you see this child pouring a creamer. Most of the centers that I coach, I'd bring in the creamers and we'd start with the 1-year-olds. And so they practice pouring their water at snack time, and then it moved from there. It also helps to have water play inside and outside every day, so that by the time they get this pitcher, this little creamer, they're not pouring it everywhere because they've been practicing during their play. And so that's really important. If you don't give them time during the play, then they're going to want to play during meals. And so because they need to master it, so they need repetition. And so if they're not getting that during playtime, they're going to do it during mealtime. And these are some examples of, we call these provocations. These are some Montessori provocations, or sometimes they're called invitations. And this is from my coaching. One of my colleagues set these up. And these are for COVID. She set these up to help the teachers during COVID. So you see there's just a few things on each tray. And then as the children play with them, they switch out the trays so that they always have a clean one and no one's playing with something that's been touched by another child, so that everybody stays healthy. And you see how she has a little basket here with the sanitizer so that they can clean the toys and set them out again. Okay, another video. Bank Street. So Bank Street approach is basic play-based curriculum. In your mind, if you're thinking about play-based curriculum, that's the Bank Street curriculum. And there's a thing about blocks in here. Here. So one of the teachers at the original Bank Street school is the one who thought up the idea of using unit blocks. And so the thing about unit blocks is that so one block equals 1 unit, and so then some are half a unit and some are 2 units, and so it's math in block form. And so that's the great thing about it, and that's why they're required in every high quality environment to have unit blocks, not just any blocks, but unit blocks, because of the math aspect. So that's an example. And so this picture is from my coaching, and these children, 2 children, made this big tower. And the teachers did not whine at them about cleaning up. But when it was time to clean up, she used her positive descriptive acknowledgement, and she gave a PDA to each child cleaning up, and then the rest of the room came running. And she said, I see Susie cleaning up, I see Johnny cleaning up, I see Traylon cleaning up. And she just went down the line, and she said the same thing to every child, and that was good enough. And they all helped clean up, and it took just a few minutes to clean up all those blocks. No whining, no nagging, no fighting, no screaming, and it all got cleaned up. And that's the beauty and the power of positive descriptive acknowledgement. Okay, any questions about that? No? Okay. All right, the next part that I wanted to talk about a lot, because we're going to talk about learning stories a lot next week. All right, high scope. There's another Hey Did You Know? That one's about egg cartons. High scope is in the book. So this is not in the book. This is a new learning wheel for high scope. And the new part is this anti-bias ring that they added around it. And so they're moving from developmentally appropriate to developmentally informed, trauma-informed, what is it? Anti-bias, trauma-informed, individualized learning to surround everything they do. So that is not in the book. And this is all from the book. Anji Play is not in the book. So I told you about how they have lots of loose parts in Anji Play. I told you about special needs children in Anji Play. The ratio is like 1 to 17 or 1 to 20, about that. And no matter what the school size is, everybody goes and plays on the playground at the same time. So if it has 1 room or 5 rooms or 10 rooms, they're all on the yard at the same time. And they start, the youngest is 3, but if you want to go at 1.5, you can come if you bring a parent with you. And so they have 1-to-1 with a parent from 18 months to 3 years old. And then they're part of the ratio, that 1 to 20, 1 to 17 ratio, until they go to kindergarten. So these are some great videos of things that they do there. They call it, a lot of times they call it risky play. They play in the rain. Everybody gets a rain jacket. They get a bucket. Instead of a cubby, they get a bucket. And they keep their rain jacket in there and their hat. And so these are some of the things they do. They're kind of, they're pretty dangerous. And you see the adult is far away. The adult is documenting what they're doing. The children create their own rules for play. And the adults keep everybody safe, but really, even when there's a fight, the adults do not get involved too much. So a lot of pieces, a lot of things to clean up at the end of the day. And the way they clean up is they play music, and then everybody cleans up. And there's one about a fight right there. And then I have a video about the cleanup, and you can see them playing the music and everybody cleaning up. And I've seen teachers that I coach do that. They'll have a certain song that they sing when it's time to come inside from the yard. I think she sang Twinkle Twinkle Little Star was the come inside song. And so when they heard Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, they all lined up and went inside. And they were 1-year-olds, 1 to 2-year-olds. So it's very good to help with routines. Music is good for routines. Okay, that's that. And the videos are there to help you. They're not required. But I wanted to get to the learning story part. So this is me introducing the learning story. And here is some practicing the learning story. So this is what I told you before about thinking about the story that you want to tell. And so I walk you through writing the learning story for this picture. So what do you guys think would be a good thing to focus on for this picture? What story would you want to tell if you took this picture in your classroom? I pick an everyday photo on purpose. So when you're writing learning stories, they don't have to be about the volcano, right? You don't have to, no fancy curriculum, just everyday things that children do. So she's got a hat, a dress-up hat on, and she's filling up the bag. And so I might say in my observation that I turn in, I might say, I watched you pick up the pink hat and put it on your head, and then you squatted and put one Weeble in each pocket of the blue bag. And then you put another bag on your other hand and you walked across the room and said, I'm at the zoo now. You see how it was all in the past tense? And I described what I saw the child do. That's what your observation should sound like. Okay. And then once you have that part written, then you want to look at your DRDP, the Desired Results Developmental Profile. And there's lots of different measures on that. And they're aligned with the foundations. The foundations is the research. So the foundations are the research and the DRDP is the assessment tool. And so when we plan curriculum, we use the foundations. And when we're looking afterward at what the children did, we're using the DRDP because we're assessing development. And so if I'm going to assess development, I'm going to say, well, if I'm talking about how she's growing so big and doing things, I would say you squatted. You know, when you fill up the bag, that shows me your fine motor skills. When you squat, it shows me your gross motor manipulative skills. When you tell me that you're at the zoo, that shows me that you like being with me, and that's your social interactions with familiar adults. So, you can work through, you're going to need 5 of them. So that's why your observation needs to be at least 200 words, because you need to come up with at least 5 measures for your DRDP. You can always do one about language. That, if they talk, there's a couple about language, about receptive language is how they understand language, and then expressive language is how they say it. And so you want to be specific with those DRDP measures so I know which one you're talking about. So here's some examples for the what it means to me section. When I saw you bend your knees and put your weebles in the bag, it showed me that your gross motor skills are getting so good. Now that's a pretty fancy sentence. It doesn't have to be that fancy for real. I just had time, and so I made it all fit. You can keep your balance for a long time. When you put a toy in each pocket, you showed me your number sense. You're so close to the next step. When you fill your bag, you're distracted. You weren't distracted by your friends. That's attention maintenance. Okay? And then, so the next piece is, what are you going to plan for the future? And so, if you don't know what to do, you can always offer more choices. And so in this example, I said, since you had so much fun filling up the bag while you were squatting, I'm going to offer more bags to choose from tomorrow. More is always good. Children love more. They love more. They love too much paint, too much glitter, too many bags, too many weebles, too many trains. There's always a fight because they want to hold every single train. It's just a developmental stage they all go through. So there's some examples for you, and then here's another one. So this one was from a conference that we attended a couple years ago. And so I copied them from the conference, but they're not the standard framework we're using for this class, because they were using it for the practicum class, and we're using it for curriculum. And so I have it here how it was printed, and then what I did was I switched it into our format so you can see the difference. So this is what it would look like if someone was using that for our class. It's the same learning story in a format to be an assignment for this class. So Oobleck Fun, and then this is Oobleck Fun. Okay? So you can see the difference. All right. Any questions about that? No? Okay. I'm just about done. I'm going to go over this again because this is the part that people have trouble with. And so I'm going to spend a lot of time on that this semester. Here's another example of a learning story for you from that conference. And I didn't do that one. There's just examples. I didn't switch them into our format. Several. And so here's some more websites that you can look and see more examples and more information about learning stories. They came out of New Zealand and more websites about learning stories. Okay, any questions about that? So I think I'm going to stop there. That's the hard part. The observation takes students usually like 2 or 3 weeks to get it. So we're going to take 2 or 3 weeks to do it. Do you guys have any questions about that? This is the time. This is the time to ask the questions. Now I'm explaining this to you so you can work ahead and turn your observation in early, because now I've explained it in detail, right? So that I don't have to stay up till 3 o'clock every night grading the resubmissions. So I'm trying to get on top of this semester. Okay, so you want to write down what you see. And you just say, I saw you, then you did this, then you said this, you said this, you did that. That's what it should sound like. It should be past tense with a lot of yous. You did this, you did that. Okay? I don't want to hear she. I don't want to see their name in the observation section. I want to see a name and an age in the context section, but not in the observation section. Okay, so the first assignment is just the observation, not the DRDP measures, just the past tense story about what you observed. Okay, and you want to be very specific. Like, don't say play, because I don't know what play means. I want you to describe what you saw that made you think they were playing. And don't say, what's another thing people say a lot? They say, she got the toy. So I don't know if they walked, they ran, they jumped, they hopped, they skipped. I don't know how they got the toy. Did they pick it up? Did they grab it? What toy? Is it the ball, the book, the car, the doll? And so you want to be very specific. Okay? All of that is important when you're designing curriculum. Any questions about that? No? Okay. Well, that's all. I'm going to, if you guys don't have any questions, I'm going to log off. Nothing to say. That's all I had to say tonight. I'm going to turn off my recording.